Okay, so we are in chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness. Kshetra, Kshetrajna. Okay. So before that, let us start. Let's pay obeisance to Sri Radha Govinda. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Nananjana Shalakaya Chakshulmitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manoabhishtam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vittam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakana Vittam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dino Bandho Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhaveva cha patitam nam pavnebhyo vaishnavyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatesha Tarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. So what we saw in chapter 12, that was the end of the second section of Bhagavad Gita, that was on Bhakti, right? So Krishna just summarized, he says Bhakti is the only means where we can go back to the Lord, Bhakti Yoga. And he said the personal form of worship is better than the impersonal form of worship. That is, the trying people are there who are Mayavadis who try to worship the Lord in the impersonal form, or even the Buddhist Sunyavadis. So here the Lord said clearly that personal form of worshipping the Lord is the best. That's the easy and it is direct. And then he gave us the progressive stages of devotion. That was the summary, like the whole chapter, 6 chapters, which he summarized. He said the highest form is the Ananya Bhakti, pure devotees who think of him all the time, 24 hours, and all their activities and their thoughts, everything is for the Lord. Whether they like it or no, they do everything for the Lord. Then Krishna says, if you can't do that kind of devotion, then at least you do the follow the strict principles given by the acharyas. Just follow that, and that is sadhana bhakti. But if you can't do that, and because don't like to be disciplined and can't think, then he said to at least do selfless work. That is, you work for me, give the results for me. That is the thing. Then again, there the people might not be interested to give the results to the Lord. They might like to give it to the others. That is like charitable work for schools, for hospitals and things. So Krishna says, at least do that. At least you won't be selfish. You will be in the mode of giving. And slowly that attitude will lead you towards bhakti. So he says, at least do that. Then even if you can't do that, then he says to do dhyana and the so it's very, very merciful. He says if you can't do this, then so that there's a progressive stages from the highest to lowest. Because why he said the highest? Because that's the stage we need to reach. So he started from there and he came to the lowest. But he says, and then he continues, said how the people who start in the progressive stage in the bhakti, how they can develop the qualities that are endeared to unto Krishna. So we looked at that, and that was the class. So how a bhakta is and what he does, and what's the progressive stage of devotion. But only through bhakti we can reach the Lord. Otherwise, we are still stuck in the material world. So thanks. So after hearing everything about the karma, then karma yoga, then bhakti yoga, this, Actually, Arjuna said that he doesn't have any doubts. His illusion is big. But he wants some clarifications. There are certain things. He said, okay, you said everything Bhakti Yoga. So he wants more clarification. What is the relationship with the Prakriti? Who is the actual enjoyer? What is the Kshetra? Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Sorry. So he was asking what is Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, and the Neya. That is the knowledge and the knower. So if starts, Krishna doesn't start with the answering the questions for 1 and 2. He starts with 3 and 4. That is, what is the Kshetra and Kshetrajna? Okay. The field of activities and the knower of the field. Then he further answers to the question 5, the process of knowledge and the liberation. Then to question 6, the object of knowledge. So Krishna answers questions 1 and 2 in the end of the chapter. That is about the Prakriti, Purusha, and the what is the relationship with the Prakriti and who is the Purusha and the thing. And what happens to this knowledge? Jnana Chakshusha. If you look at the entire thing using this knowledge, you will be able to understand this. So, I mean, this chapter is quite complicated, like we say, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, among all the chapters, this chapter is little complicated to understand because a lot of philosophy is there. So, if you look at chapter 1 and 6, it was all about Karma Yoga. What is our prescribed duties? As Krishna was saying that what is Karma Yoga? Because Arjuna said, no, I'd rather not get into this fruitive reactions or thing. Why at all do the work? I'll take up sannyas. So then Krishna was saying that as long as you're here, this thing, you have to do your prescribed duties and you have to remember me and do. So he talked about if to come out of the reactions, you should offer the results to the Lord. That is Nishkama Karma Yoga. So then action, then he talked about Jnana. He said about the transcendental knowledge, how of knowing this, that the Lord is the cause of all causes and this thing. And he is the one who gave this knowledge, Bhagavad Gita. So action on the platform of knowledge. Then how to perfect the actions we saw in thing. Because once you know he is the enjoyer, he is the controller, Bhaktaram, Ekta Sapasam. So he is the enjoyer, he is the controller, and he is the well-wisher of us. So finally he ended up telling us on the Bhakti Yoga. He talked about Ashtanga Yoga also, so that people should not get carried away by that difficult process, but to take up Bhakti Yoga. That is the best yoga. He said that is a person who remembers him, meditates on him, thinking of him, and worships him. Then he elaborated on Bhakti Yoga in chapter 7 to 12, and how he said in the chapter 8 that if you remember him even at the final our death, then he will surely go back to his nature, go back to his world. But how to remember the final hour is to continuously remember him. He said, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever thing, you just do it for me. You think of me and do it. And that's what he tells to Arjuna. Think of me and do the fight with the thing. You're just a nimatra matra. That is just to be an instrument in my hands and just do what you are supposed to do. So that is chapter 7. Bhakti Yoga. So now he's giving in this thing some knowledge. Some more thing which will help us to be in Bhakti Yoga. Perfection. So what is this knowledge which you're going to get in this? This thing, though we have saw all this, but still he's going to give us some more knowledge. That if you look, if Bhakti is the culmination, why is Jnana presented? This is what Prabhupada writes in the purport. In truth, entire Bhagavad Gita is about Bhakti only. How you do Bhakti? Through work, Karma Yoga. Right? Nishkam. Then last 6, how to achieve it through knowledge. Middle 6 discuss itself, Amati. And in 12th chapter, Krishna says, so once you do this, he will personally come and deliver us from the cycle of death. So the whole chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the whole thing is all about how to come out of the clutches of death cycle, how to go back to him. And he's so merciful that he's clearly explaining us to us in a very logical manner, going step by step, right? So what does the last six chapters gives the philosophical knowledge necessary to extricate ourselves from, because we have to be detached from this sense gratification. How to do it, and what is our attachment to it, why we are getting entangled, and how to get up with that, our relationship with the material world. So that philosophical knowledge will help us to detach from Maya and attach ourselves to Krishna. So this is what is all about in the last 6 chapter. And hence it's said that Jnana Yoga, the last 6 chapter is known as Jnana Yoga because it forms a part of Bhakti. So when you look at this is the topics. We talked about, as I said in the beginning, that Bhagavad Gita talks about 5 things. One is about the Ishvara. Who is the Lord, and what is our relationship with the Jiva? The other Jiva, living entities. How we get conditioned here. Otherwise, what is the thing? Then about the Prakriti. More we're going to learn about in the last 6 chapters is about the Prakriti. He gave us a little bit about it in the beginning chapters. Then about the Karma. And Jiva and Prakriti, what our relationship is through the Karma. Because we are conditioned souls, we are in this, and we are the reactions. So we are in this. And then in the last 6 chapters, Lord talked about the Prakriti's energy. What is that energy, and what is Jiva as a super, is a part and parcel of him. And Prakriti is also matter, unless it can, there's a superior energy, it cannot. So we learned all that, right? And there's a Kala, because Kala Purusha is the one which is controlling the whole thing. That is a destructive energy, okay? Which is time as per the, is a Kala Purusha, right? So now we are going to learn more and more about Prakriti. So this is how it is. If you just think back and look at the thing, what all we discussed was all about our living entities, our relationship with the Lord. We are the part and parcel of him, and our supreme goal is to go back to his thing. And what is his world, material world and spiritual world, he talked about that. And then how we get entangled with the Prakriti. So how to come out of it is what the knowledge. So this is, if you can just think about Bhagavad Gita, it's all about these 5 topics. Okay. And now Arjuna starts with 6 questions. Is this a dialogue? You see, it's not something which is a theory given like that, but it's an ongoing dialogue between the Lord and Arjuna in the battlefield. He said, "Oh, my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, that is nature, Purusha, enjoy, the field, and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the end of knowledge. What is the goal of it?" So the Lord said, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, that is the Kshetra. And who knows this body is called the knower of the field, that is the Kshetrajna. Okay. So he didn't touch about Prakriti and Purusha. First he talked about the field and the knower of the field. Okay. So Prakriti is the material nature. Purusha is the enjoyer of Prakriti, given in these verses. Kshetra is the Sharira, the body. Kshetrajna is the observer in the body. That is, who is the observer in everybody is the soul. Apart from the soul, there is a Paramatma, that is known as super soul. Okay, is also in the body of every living entity, whether it's an ant or Lord Brahma, is there in every living entity, every Jiva. And Jnana, understanding the relationship between Kshetra and Kshetrajna is the knowledge, Jnana. And what is the goal of knowledge? Nayam, it is to reach the Paramatma. Okay, this is how the Lord answers all the questions by Arjuna. Okay. So when he says the field, it's like you have a land given to a farmer, right? So the farmer will know what he has sown the seeds and what crop is going to get, because he is the one who is working on the field, right? And so he knows what is happening, what he does and how he is taking care of this field. So he knows about it. But there is another person who also knows about what he is doing is the sun. That is sun god. Because without the sun, nothing he can't. And the sun not only knows about this field, it knows about all the other fields around. Actually, the king has given allotted the fields to different farmers. So different farmers knows about their own field, but they don't know about that. So this field is the where our body is. And how we are acting on it, our activities and all is known by the farmer because he is the soul there. Okay. And the Paramatma is the one who is there in all the living entities who knows what's happening. So he is the knower. He is also knower, soul and the Paramatma. Okay. So in the purport, Prabhupada writes very clearly, for whom is this body? Who gets the body as the field of activities is the conditioned soul. Depending on the desires we had from our previous births and all our karma, we get this body for this particular life. So this is the field of activity. So how do we act then? Then why we get it? Because it's entrapped in because of its attempts to lord it. This is our icha. We want to be independent of the Lord and we want to enjoy ourselves. So this is our entrapped. Because of that, we are in this material world and we get this material body. Okay. And criteria to decide which body is according to the capacity to dominate the material energy. According to the capacity to enjoy sense gratification, one gets a particular body to function accordingly. If you want to attach yourself to just eat meat and all that, then you'll be getting the body of a lion. So like that, we get different bodies depending upon our desires and our karma, okay, from your previous birth. So then, who is the knower of the field? How to understand the difference between the body and the knower of the field? It is based on the changing, because the body keeps changing, but you are same, no? Our soul, that is, we know when we were as a baby, when we know as a boy, as a young child, and then as a thing. So we know the change. The body keeps changing, but the soul is the witness to all these changes, and it is the soul. And we have an understanding, no? So nobody can tell that we are thing, only the body. So the intuitive understanding, we can know the difference between the body and the knower of the body. Okay. Then comparisons of knowledge in 3. So we are getting knowledge in all the sections throughout Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is giving us knowledge. So what is this knowledge compared to? So we look at that. In chapter 1 and 6, it discusses the knower of the body and the position by which he can understand the Supreme Lord. Because we are part and parcel of him and we are thing. And we are the soul and not the body. That's what we've got to know about our identity, isn't it? That's the basic knowledge which the Lord started giving us, that is, we are the soul and not the body. That is the position. And what is our position? We have to serve the Lord because we are part and parcel of it, right? Like the hand serves the whole body, the leg serves the whole body, like that, we have to serve the Lord. That is our thing, and we need to go back. So the soul, that is, we are the soul and not the body. That's a basic identity we got there. That was the knowledge. Then in chapter 7 to 12, it discussed the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the relationship between the individual soul and the super soul in regards to devotional service. So why we have to do devotional service and how he gives the understanding to devotees who are all the time. That's what we saw in the Chatusloki, isn't it? Where he said, summarized, he said that devotees, what they do, what the activities, everything they do. They know the relationship with the Lord, that they are servant of the Lord. And so all their activities are based for the Lord. So once he knows the seriousness of that, of the devotees, and he gives them the understanding and to go back to him. That's what we saw. And the pena, that is the lamp of thing which he will burn the ignorance they have. So this is the thing. Then it describes the superior position of Krishna, the subordinate position of living entity. We are just a tiny part of it. But we are Satchitananda, okay, but we are tiny, but like the small drop of ocean drop of water in the ocean, whereas Krishna. And he is the fully, is the manifestation, and he manifests and we go back. So all that he described in this chapter 7 and 12, right? And then he talked about how if you surrender to him and think, then he is the only one who can, with his help only, we can overcome this entanglement with the material world. That's what he said in 7.40. That is, material energy is mind, is a divine energy, but it is very powerful and it will bind us like anything. Only if we surrender to him, we can go back. And then we saw the 4 kinds of pious people who approach the Lord in distress, for wealth, authority, and all that, right? So now what is the knowledge is giving us? Explains how the living entity comes in contact with the material nature. Okay? How living entity is delivered by Lord through different methods. So this is the understanding we are going to get from this throughout the chapters. Okay? It's clearly explained here. Okay? So answers the questions 3, 4, and 5, the field of activities, the knower of the field, and the knowledge. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi, sarva kshetreshu bharata, kshetra kshetrajno jnana, yat tajnanam matam mama. Oh, Sainapatha, you should understand that I am also the knower in all the bodies. Chapi mam vidhi, sarva kshetreshu bharata. And to understand this body and its knower is called knowledge. This is my opinion. So you can see from this picture which you have given here, in this, when you are in conscious level, that is your in your body, your awake stage. In the awake stage, you all are there. You're awake and you know what you're doing. The soul is there and Paramatma is there. And your body and your mind, and you do all your activities, right? With all that. Then when you're in sleeping stage, but still you will have some lot of dreams. Your mind will not have gone to sleep. Okay, you still have some activities still going on. That is the dream state. In the dream state, again, you have the soul and the thing. When you go into deep sleep, okay, your deep sleep, your mind is at rest, your body is at rest, but still the soul is active and the Paramatma is there. But you are not aware of it because your body and mind is in deep sleep. So here, Krishna is clearly saying, these are the owners, the soul and the Paramatma. They know what's happening here because they are the thing. And this is the knowledge. Kshetra, Kshetrajno, Jnanam. Because he asked, no, what is the true knowledge? That is my opinion. Matam Mama. Jnanam Matam Mama. Okay. So, what is the difference between soul and super soul? Living entities are known as Jivatma, right? Infinitely small. And we saw now in second chapter, 1 by 10,000, the size of the tip of it. Whereas the God is the maintainer and is known as the Paramatma. It's not Jiva, it's the Paramatma. And infinite is Vibhu. It's not just a small, it's a huge. Cognizant of one's own. And we know only about our body, what is happening in our field. He is cognizant of everyone and everything, superpower. Soul is secondary proprietary for one body. I mean, how it is like this means we are the owners of one land, whereas the king, he owns the whole kingdom, isn't it? He is the one who is allotted to different farmers. So we are the secondary proprietor. Same way, super soul is a supreme proprietor for all the bodies. And whereas we are the secondary proprietor. Then we are fallible because we go change from one body to the other is fallible. Whereas the super soul is infallible, is Achyuta. And we are subordinate to the Lord, and he is a eternal loving master. Innumerable living produce, though super soul is in the heart of every living entity and within every atom, still there is only one super soul. So this is the difference. So we need to understand clearly the difference between Jivatma and the Paramatma. Okay. So tat chetram yatcha yadrakcha yad vikari yatascha yad sacha yo yad prabhavascha tat tamashena mishra. Please hear my brief description of the field of activity, how it is constituted, what its changes are, whence it produced, who that knower of the field of activities, and what its influences are. So now he's going to elaborate. First he said, no, what is the body? And this knowledge was not only known to us, the field of activities and all of this described by various stages in Vedic. So Krishna says, this not only this knowledge is, I'm only telling, it's nothing new, because this has been discussed by various sages in Vedic writings. Okay, so Krishna himself is giving references. He's telling Arjuna, that is whatever I'm telling you, this relationship is not only known, I think it's also already in the Vedic scriptures. So, and Prabhupada gives some part of it from the purport. Is especially presented in Vedanta Sutra with all reasoning as to the cause and effect of this purport. So, Brahma Sutra Padaischaiva Hetu Matvir Vinishchitaya. So, Krishna refers to the Vedanta Sutra is also there where everything is given. So, whatever is talking about our relationship to the material world is already given in the Vedic writings, right? So, it's like, one of that tantric thing here Prabhupada writes, that is, we are in the Annamaya Kosha, where we are only conscious of this body, like the animal life. We only that. We don't know anything else. So we are living at the bodily relationship, right? Our conscious level is that. Then you slowly go to the pranamaya stage. That is, slowly from the annamaya stage, where only the field about the eating thing just to take care of this body and all that. Then you look at the pranamaya, how to defend this body, how to be safeguard yourself. And that's when you start looking at. One is to basically needs of your body is annamaya kosha, where just your conscious levels just stops at that. Next is to defend yourself, pranamaya kosha. Then comes to after that, once you're settled and you have your bodily needs are given and your security is given, I think, then what happens? Then you start thinking about your conscious levels goes higher. Who is this and what is the reason I'm here? What is the what? That's when you come to the Manomaya Kosha. Okay, Gnanamaya. And then comes the Vijnana. Then when you start pursuing to understand what more you need and what is the thing, and slowly you get the knowledge, Vijnanamaya, and then you pursue your true goal. That's when finally you reach the Anandamaya, that is the Lord. So this is how your conscious level starts increasing. Starts with the Annamaya Kosha, then go to the Pranamaya Kosha, defense, and then Manomaya. Why? What are we? That's when you start asking, who am I? What am I reason? What is it? Jignasu. Okay, then starts the thing. So this is explained in the thing. So there are 3 stages of consciousness. Stage of consciousness, dreaming, and the stage of unconsciousness. Yes. Then comes therefore, and your appearance reasons do not depend on anything beyond us. You're the supreme cause of everything, but of you, there is no. You yourself cause your own appearance and reason. Your appearance different by a separated manifestation. So this is taken from the Krishna book. Okay, this is the extraction. As a different incarnation or anything, you appear as the phenomenal world. Okay. So then now he is explaining about this material world. I hope you all understood it. The 5 great elements. What are the 5 great elements? Earth, water, fire, air, and the ether. Okay. And the false ego, intelligence, unmanifested pradhana, and the 10 senses. We have the working 10 senses are the knowledge acquiring senses and working senses, the mind and the 5 sense objects. So these are all about 24 elements. So this is about like Sankhya, okay. And the symptoms. Then comes your interactions. How you interact with these 24 elements with the thing, with the nature. You either feel desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate of life systems. All these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and the interactions. Okay. And the Bhagla central theme of the purport indicates that the field or the body is a non-permanent material thing, and Kshetrajna know the field is different from the field. Just 1 minute. We have a lot of noise today. I have a lot of guests. So we have 5 great elements. So you all have, I told you, what are the 5 sense objects? Anybody can remember? 5 great elements. Hare Krishna.
5 great elements will be air, ether, earth, fire, water.
Yes, Mataji. 5 sense objects.
5 sense objects, vision, taste, hearing, smell, and touch.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. 11 senses, including mind. 11 senses are the senses which we acquire the knowledge. Eyes, nose, ears, hands,
legs, genitals.
Then working sense. So all like that, including men. Then intelligent, unmanifest stages of 3 modes are called pradhana. These are the components of the field activities. How we get the we interact with it, how we interact with this material world, right? And interactions of the gross body is the hatred thing, and then subtle body is a living system represented by convictions, and these are certain impressions we have. And here gross body, we feel happy, we feel we have desires, we like something, we don't like something. We saw that, no, we have cloud by dislikes and likes. Then we feel happy and this thing. These are the things which we feel out of because of our interactions with this material body. And subtle body is with the mind and the conscious level. So this is the impressions we have. Okay. Then we have the 5 greatness of gross repressions, materials connection, tamas buddhi. Okay. Basis of this knowledge is given as per the translation, right? And we have takes birth, grows, stays. So we have, these are the things which was discussed in the transformations and following. Okay. So, I mean, this is, we need to reread it again and like that. Further questions to question by the process of knowledge and liberation. How do you get it? Okay. So here, then he gives us, unless we are humble to understand and be surrender to take to the spiritual master with a humble. If you're very arrogant, we won't be able to understand. So unless we have these qualities, develop these qualities, we won't be able to understand this knowledge. So that's the qualities which the Krishna is explaining, that humility, pridelessness, non-violence, that is not to put other people in distress, and tolerance. We practice to bear simplicities, go straight forward, that you can disclose this truth, not to be anxious to have satisfaction of being honored, understanding you're not the body, and thus honor and dishonor are the same. Then tolerance, we have to be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. That is very difficult unless you be in Krishna conscious. Takes a lot of time. Simplicity, go straight forward, be simple. Then disclose the thing. Accepting, this is the essential one. Accepting a spiritual is because he is the one who can guide us, who can bring us to him. And we have to be humble to him and we have to serve him. Cleanliness, that is not only inside, but external, but also internal. And we should be determined to make progress. And see, this is the thing. Whatever we might fall down, we have a lot of anathas and all that. We should be determined. Unless we are determined, only then God, the Lord Paramatma will be helping us to progress in this spiritual life. Reject anything unfavorable to spiritual advancement and control the senses. Renunciation of sunset, not to cater to unnecessary demands, gratified to keep our fit. Absence of one's ego. Reject I am the body and accept. So this I and mine, that is the one which will always protect. So you should always think whenever you are in such conflicts and all that, you can introspect yourself and say, why, what's the reason? how we are thinking about it. That's when you realized with that. So first thing was, he says to accept a spiritual master, Acharya Upasana. Then detachment. Be ready to sacrifice everything for Krishna. That is very deep. Then no entanglement. It doesn't mean that you should practice it if you can do it in Krishna consciousness, but renounce everything. That means you can do that within you. Do your duty, but don't get entangled. That's what, but it is not that easy for and being entangled. Even-mindedness, unalloyed devotion service. Engage yourself in the 9 process of bhakti. Shravanam, Kirtanam. So when you look at all these qualities and what is this now, unless we understand these things, then only we can, this is knowledge. That is, knowledge is we have to follow Acharya, be humble, should not be arrogant, should not be this, we should be detached from the mass of people. So there are certain things which if we can accept the importance of self-realization. So this is knowledge. That is for self-realization. So here the knowledge which the Krishna is listing it out is for getting being progressing in the spiritual. Okay. Process of knowledge end in Bhanyanya Bhakti, Acharya Upasana, humility, non-violence, self-control, detachment, and certain this. So when we look at this, then only you can understand why Prabhupada was very, how he helped the followers. So he was very strict on the 4 regulative principles. He asked them to take to chanting of Hare Krishna mantra so that they'll Shravanam and Kirtana. And they were even willing to go on the streets to do the Kirtana, Sankirtana, and also do the Ratha Yatra. So step by step, we introduced them so that they'll be in Krishna consciousness. And then taught them how to do the deity worship so that they'll have a focus and how to be in that, then slowly they were able to get detached from the material intent, come out of their bad habits because they were engaging themselves on the Lord. They were engaging in so many activities for the Lord. So that's how we engage them in book distribution, in their printing, getting the books printed and translate and helping them to edit the books and to translate in Sanskrit. So many ways, even to paint the photographs and explain them and description, the way he described them, they used to draw the pictures. And all the pictures are drawn by the devotees. So when you look at how the followers were taken up the activities and what you see that the things which the Krishna says, you can really map to it 1 to 1 and you can understand how the process works. Okay. So cultivation of this knowledge mentioned is the real method of acquiring knowledge. So if we want to have the knowledge and to be in the progress stage, we should have to have these qualities in our mind. Anything speculated beyond these items of knowledge is ignorance. That's what he concludes in the process of knowledge. The soul can know the super soul, who is the object of knowledge and who exists everywhere and pervades everything. The super soul has transcendental senses and is source of all such senses. He is unattached and he maintains all living entities. Only the devotee can understand the field of activities, the process of knowledge, and both the soul and the super soul. So now he is answering the question, that is the object of knowledge. So we looked at Kshetra, Kshetrajna, then who is the residing in this body? Body is the Sharira, that is the Kshetra. And the one who is there is the soul and the super soul, that is the Kshetrajna. And what is the knowledge we need to have? It is, and how do we get the knowledge? By cultivating these qualities. Only if we cultivate these qualities, then only we'll be able to understand this transcendental knowledge, right? And what is the object of knowledge is what is kept. That is the super soul. That is the understanding the Paramatma. The soul can know the super soul, who is the object of knowledge, who exists everywhere, pervades everything. So, and he doesn't have the senses like us, material senses. Super soul has transcendental sense. And he is the source of all our senses, is unattached images. So this is what he says, therefore. Knowledge is so. I shall now explain the novel, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Soul are the real objects to be known, are the real, who are the knowledge. Vijnana Brahma, living entity as the knowable. Ananda Brahma, super soul as the knowledge, noble and the knower. Relish the nectar of life. Okay. Everywhere are his hands and legs. Is inconceivable. His hands and legs and ways everywhere. In this way, the super exists, pervading everywhere. Okay. And you might take another body, but he's already there because he's there everywhere. No, whatever body you take, wherever you go, and whatever you see, everything around is there. Sarvata panipadam tat sarvato shri shiromukam sarvata shruti loki sarvam avati sthiti. Okay. Now this verse describes the soul, not the living entity. Okay. There are certain relational commentaries where people just get confused the way the Lord. So, the original source of all sense, it is without senses. Without senses means it doesn't have material sense. He can see with his eyes, or he can see, like when people say, when we offer the prasad and will go to the Lord will eat. By seeing itself, he can eat. It doesn't mean that he has to come and eat. He's unattached, although he's a maintainer of all things, he transcends them. He's the master of all modes of nature. Internally and externally, the moving and non-moving is beyond the power of the material sense to see or to know. Although far, far away is also near to all. Although supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, is never divided. He is situated as one, meant of every living entity, shadows that diverse and develops all. But it does everything, maintaining, creating, maintaining, and then destructing. Is a source of light in all luminities beyond the dim darkness of matter, unmanifested. His knowledge, his object of knowledge, his goal of is situated in everyone's heart. I think that, and you might think, why is he repeating so much? Why is he when we said even in that? But repetition sometimes is required for us to understand it clearly. Okay, that's why he is keep repeating it here. Beyond the darkness of matter, knowledge. I think I'll stop at this because we are reaching to the thing. Field of activities, knowledge and novel have been described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. So here Krishna is saying that it is not that easy to comprehend. People might think, how can this be? Many scientists don't believe this, right? And they don't believe even in the existence of a consciousness, right? There's a soul or a super soul. So they think everything came by accident, some Big Bang theory, and they come up there with their own theories after theories. So, and some will like to, Mayavadis, they don't want to have a form, think of the Lord with a form, they want to merge into the Brahma Jyoti. So he says it's very difficult. Only my devotees can understand this philosophy thoroughly and thus attached to my nature. And this is a beautiful story given in the Upanishads where it is compared to the two birds on a tree. Okay. And this tree is like our body. And there we have the bird, which is now going on looking at different fruits on this tree. Sometimes it sees a fruit and says, oh, it's tasty, it's very sour and all that. And then it goes to another branch and then, oh, this fruit is nice. So we are like that. We are after one senses to others trying to be happy. Or sometimes we feel in distress. So, but we are still searching for happiness. So it's still like this bird is searching for a tasty, juicy fruit. Whereas there's another bird sitting on this tree, that is who is there with us, the Paramatma, who is just observing. We are not looking into his direction. Okay, we are here, we are very much interested only with these fruits in this tree. Okay, and trying to get how to enjoy in this material world. Once you look towards him, then slowly you will get detached from these fruits. So that's what he says. Understand the relationship, then we'll be able to come back to me. Okay. With this, I will end.